currently UFC 312 fight week, and Aleksandre Topuria is making his highly anticipated debut on the prelims of this card. So guess who's in town? His brother, Ilia Topuria, who is going to be in his corner for his debut. And Ilia sat down with Main Event TV, and I pulled this interview because I wanted to get the full context from this interview, right? Because there were a lot of clips floating around about Ilia from this interview. So I wanted to make sure we covered everything because this was a very short interview, but it got right into the meat and potatoes right away. So we're going to break it down. I'm going to react because he discusses a few things that I think are very interesting. What to expect from his brother, right? Because obviously he's going to be biased. It's his brother, Aleksandre. So what we can expect from him. He's going to talk about Merab Dvalishvili, right? Because it's important to note Merab and Ilia are very close. They're very good friends. So it sounds like those guys have no desire to ever go up against each other. So they're going to have to play dodge. They're going to have to shuffle the deck to make sure that they don't end up fighting each other. Because you have to remember, Merab's a bantamweight. Ilia's a 145er. So I think that maybe that's in the back of Ilia's mind of wanting to go to 55 so they don't have to face each other and they can kind of make some room. So you'll hear from him on that. And then we're going to hear what Ilia wants to do moving forward because there's a lot of questions, right? I made a video that I will go ahead and link below giving my honest take on the, what's been going on in the community, right? A lot of people discussing the possibility of Ilia versus Islam, right? Which I think is a massive fight, but I think that there's a few issues that may get in the way of that fight potentially happening. So check that video out after this one. And then so we just get to hear from Ilia here. So I thought this was a good interview. Wanted to make sure we got the full context. Let's go ahead and I'll react and I'll break it down.
To see him with the UFC shorts, doing his interviews, his photo shoots, everything, I like it.
Of course, he's older than you, but I mean, you obviously hit your heights a lot earlier. Was it only a matter of time until you knew that he was going to make it?
Exactly. It was only a matter of time. He was helping me in all my preparations and all my training camps. So now it's my turn to do the same that he did with me. So I can't wait to see him shine because he's so ready. Because usually the people that used to make 6 weeks training camp, 8 weeks training camp, we dedicate all life to this sport.
Yeah, right.
We dedicate it. So that's why I have this kind of confidence that he will be victorious on Saturday night.
So you see the confidence dripping from his brother here, Ilia Topuria. He's saying nothing but, good things. Obviously, it's his older brother, so he's going to be very biased. But from what we've seen from Aleksandre in his career, not a large sample size, right? Some of his fights over his past 4 or 5 fights, if you look on Tapology, some of those fights are from almost 10 years ago. So he's a guy that hasn't been very active in terms of, his fighting career. But what we've seen from him inside the cage, he fights very much like Ilia. He's got the boxing style, doesn't have maybe as good a footwork or head movement, but he has a very similar style. He's got good grappling, good submissions. So I'm excited to see him make his debut. But again, interesting to hear from Ilia on kind of what to expect. And Ilia's a confident guy. Of course, he's going to speak highly of his brother, but I just thought that was interesting to hear from Ilia on this.
This is Sunday morning for us.
Yeah.
One of the biggest stories around this card, though, in addition to Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis, is this battle because, of course, Alexander Volkanovski, your old mate, is going to be in the opposing corner. Does that add a bit of excitement for you as well?
To be honest, yes. It's very exciting to me that we're going to have Alex on his corner, but what he's going to do for him in the corner.
Same thing you will?
Exactly. But I know what he's going to do inside the cage. Listen to what I'm telling you. He's the world champion. He's the world. It's only a matter of time. Really.
I mean, we just saw Merab Dvalishvili.
Yeah.
So that is interesting to hear, right? And again, I know it's his brother and he's going to be biased, man, but everything that Ilia, keep in mind, everything that Ilia has said has basically happened. Since this guy's came into the UFC, he's like, I'm going to be world champion. I'm going to knock out Volk. I'm going to make it look easy. I'm going to be the first person to KO Holloway. So everything that this man has said has basically been truth. He's basically spoken it into existence. So to hear him giving this high praise to his brother, I know it's his brother, but still, I find that, no shortage of confidence on the side of Ilia coming into this. And you have to remember, while Aleksandre doesn't have this extensive, MMA career coming into this, at least as a pro career, he's been training with Ilia the whole time, right? And I think that it's one of those things where he's been doing a bunch of training, not a ton of competing. So excited to see how this plays out, because his first opponent was supposed to be Cody Haddon. I thought that was going to be a pretty good fight, but now with Thickness stepping in, you know what I mean? It's going to make it quite a bit interesting, but I'm excited to see what we see from Aleksandre.
Yeah, of course, Merab is dominating the whole division. So we'll see what he's gonna do. Maybe he's gonna move to the featherweight division, and he's gonna become a double champ, because maybe I'm gonna move up to the lightweight division. So we're gonna figure out. We're gonna find a way to be able to let shine to everyone, you know.
So that's important. So basically what that tells us is, because I mean, I feel like a lot of us could have guessed, right, that was probably what the reality was going to be. We were probably never going to see Ilia versus Merab, right? Both guys have, both guys are very close together. They got the whole Georgia thing going on. They're not probably going to compete, right? We've seen that, and we've kind of, been able to kind of allude to that. But that's interesting because they're a weight class apart, right? So that means that Ilia's already expressed about going to lightweight. So if Merab does have the desire to move up, that potentially means that we see Merab move up to 45, Ilia go to 55, and then that clears the way for Aleksandre, because Aleksandre is a bantamweight. So that basically means if Aleksandre is going to be champion, well, Merab's currently there. So you see what happens when these guys, they're going to have to play, shuffle the deck around and kind of, play dip and dodge, to avoid fighting each other. So that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. So I thought that was interesting.
Can't wait to see that. You mentioned moving up to 155. Is that the plan for your immediate future? Because there's been a bit of discussion around you potentially fighting Islam Makhachev.
This is something that I want to do. The UFC knows that, but at the end of the day, this is something that the UFC decides,
Okay.
Because they know how to run the business, they know how to do it, they have a lot of experience. So if they tell me that they want me to keep defending the belt in the 145 division, maybe I will do that. But if they let me go up in 155, I will do that also. Really very glad.
I know you're.
So that is very important, because a lot of the clips that were floating around, Ilia's just talking about the fight. He's talking about clowning on Volkanovski a little bit, right? But that is an important note, because a lot of people, it seems like they kind of have this narrative about Ilia, like it's all or nothing. He's either going to 55 to fight Islam, or this guy's just kind of, just going to sit on the title and do nothing, I guess, right? So he made it very clear that whatever the UFC basically wants him to do, that's what he's going to do. So if the UFC says you're going to stay at 145 and we're going to have you defend against Mobsar, Diego, we want to see a few more defenses before you get the double champ opportunity, it sounds like Ilia is down for that. But of course, who would say no to moving up and having a chance at double champ, right? No one's going to say no to that opportunity. I mean, I would assume, right? I wouldn't, right? Would you? Right? So I don't think that that's a thing. But it's the magnitude of the Islam fight. When you look around the UFC, stylistically, very compelling. Both guys are stars. Islam, the bigger star. Ilia Topuria is coming along nicely. It's a massive fight. So I think that it's something that the UFC is going to look to book soon, maybe later down the line. Definitely think that it's something could happen, but it's good to hear that Ilia is willing to still knock down some of the dominoes that are in the 45 division, because people are going to clown on him, man. I've already seen it. They're like, this guy don't want to defend at 45. Made it very clear that he's willing to do it.
I really want to do that, and that would be an amazing fight. After you beat Max Holloway incredibly in Abu Dhabi, you did say to Alex Volkanovski in the octagon that you'd love to have that rematch.
Yeah, if I stay in 145,
yeah,
no one else deserves the fight more than him. He deserves that fight, so I have to give him the rematch, because he deserves that. It's not something that I decide, he owns his shot. So if I stay in the 145 division, I will do that. I don't want to do it again, because I like Volk, and I know what's going to happen if we face each other again.
You think it's the same thing?
Yeah, of course, it's the same thing. As I always say, I represent the new generation of mixed martial arts. I bring a different type of game that he's not used to. So I know what's going to happen. Maybe the next time, instead of knock him out, I will submit him. So maybe I'm going to change that to have different type of clips.
Bro, this dude is a savage, man. He is so confident. He gets the game. You see that little smug smile that Ilia Topuria has. But look, he realizes what's going on. And people might say, oh, he just wants to, do that because Volkanovski's an easier matchup than a guy like Movsar. I don't buy that for 1 second. Ilia Topuria has always acknowledged Aleksandre Volkanovski. He knows that he is one of the, if not the greatest featherweight of all time. He's probably a top 10 fighter of all time. And the fan base absolutely loves Aleksandre Volkanovski. And he gave Ilia the opportunity, right? And Ilia has always said, I will give that back to him. But he's like, I don't want to do it, man. I'm going to finish this guy again. And I have sat up here and told you guys from the beginning that Ilia Topuria hit the UFC. I said, this guy's going to be dangerous. He's going to be a star. And I've been saying this is the most dangerous featherweight we've ever seen. And I'm like, if I could build a fighter to go in and take out Volkanovski, it's Ilia, right? Volk has to be perfect for 25 minutes to beat Ilia. Can you avoid, the big shots in the boxing of Ilia for 25 minutes? I don't think Volk can do it, right? So I believe Ilia beats him 10 out of 10 times, right? And I think that he would probably finish him almost all 10 times, and if not all of them. I mean, this dude, Ilia, is basically a hitman that was built to come in and take out all of the fan favorite fighters, man. Like, think about it. Goes in there, KOs Volk. Goes in there and is the first guy to KO Holloway. Like, this man is an absolute menace, dude.
But it's just a choice for you. Did you see Bo Nickel on his show last week? He said that it was basically a done deal. He'd heard that the fight was made for that Miami card in April. But to your knowledge, is that true? Has it been locked in?
At least I don't know anything yet because I didn't sign any contract.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. Me personally, what I want to do is to move up to the 155 because I know by fact that I can become a two-weight world champion.
So I want to, before he gets into this about, fighting Islam, that's important because I want to point that out. Bo Nickel recently, I think he was on a podcast, he said that he basically had heard that it was a done deal, that it was going to be Volkanovski versus Topuria again at UFC 314 in Miami. And then Ilia is saying, I don't know anything about that. I haven't signed a contract. So again, Bo Nickel maybe out there spreading some fake news. But either way, I just don't want to see that happen. I don't think it ends well for Volkanovski again. But either way, I'm glad to hear that Ilia is willing to defend at 45. So it sounds like if he stays at 45, the next challenge will be Volkanovski. But I would like to see him fight a guy like Movsar Evloev, who's been on an absolute tear, has that, has the grappling style that could trouble Ilia. And if Ilia could go out there, solve those puzzles and the riddles that are still left in the featherweight division, you can't deny this man from moving up after that. But either way, I think the UFC is going to push to book this fight with Islam that he's about to talk about.
Because Islam, he's a great fighter. He's the number one pound for pound for the people, for me. It's me, myself. I'm the best fighter in the world. So I know that I can do with him whatever I want to do because I know that I'm much better than him.
That'd be an amazing fight. We'd be so excited for that. Last one, though,
Did you see, Ilia's little smile there? He's like, I'll do whatever I want with him. He knows he's lying through his teeth, man. I think he's lying through his teeth. Look, Ilia's a confident guy, and he believes, he's like, look, he's like, I think I'm the best, right? And to be the best fighter in the world, you have to have that kind of mindset, so don't rip on him for that. But this guy, he knows going up against Islam Makhachev, he can't out-grapple Islam. I would be stunned if he could go in there and out-grapple Islam, right? Islam is a big guy at 155 pounds. I think that he is a lot bigger than Ilia. I think that he would have his way in the grappling with Ilia. What makes the fight interesting is Ilia is a strong guy. He has the lower center of gravity, and he has thunderous power in his hands, backed by what I think is the best boxing in the sport, and that's what makes it very, very interesting. But to say you would have your way with Islam Makhachev, I mean, I know the guy's confident, but that's kind of crazy, dog. From what we've seen from Islam, I think Islam would destroy him in terms of the grappling. But again, Ilia does have good grappling, so it's I don't know. That's why I want to see the fight, man. That's why I want to see the fight. And in terms of the striking, I mean, I would definitely give the boxing edge to Ilia, but Islam's striking, especially the boxing, really improved. His kicks are really good. That's why I think this matchup is so interesting, man. I just think it's an incredibly high-level fight.
At 145, if you were to look at your own division, if Volk was to fight somebody else there, if you were indeed to move up, do you think it's Movsar Evloev, or do you think it is Diego Lopez?
I think Diego deserves it more because Movsar has more fights in the UFC.
Yeah.
But he has, 7 fights in the UFC, 8 decisions, 5 by split decisions. It's man, you need to finish someone.
Right.
Do something relevant, put yourself in that spot, and why not? We can do it. But if you don't finish anyone, I fight for the fans. I fight to entertain the fans, and I need someone inside the cage to be entertained. You know, I don't need someone who is only looking for a win and grab you and this and that, which he wouldn't be able to do that with me. I would knock him out in the first round, but I need someone to hype up the fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you're the opposite. You're Mr. Entertainment.
I need a good dancing partner.
So you hear from Ilia, man. Like, listen, I think Movsar Evloev, if there was a fight that would mean more to the fan base or more in general, I think it would be beating Movsar. And I understand kind of what he's saying to a degree. He's like, look, Diego Lopez, he's a big guy. He comes at you. He's got a big leg kick. He's got power in his hands. He's got good jiu-jitsu. And from what we've seen from Diego, he's very, very dangerous. But the issue I see with that is Movsar's undefeated. He's coming off what was a great fight with Aljamain Sterling. That was very close. That was a good back and forth, especially the grappling scrambles. But Movsar holds a win over Diego. And I know that Diego stepped in there and had to take on Movsar in the debut. I believe it was short notice. So there's some factors there. But the one to me that would really do leaps and bounds for Ilia would be beating a guy like Movsar with the skill set that Movsar brings to the table. But either way, both fights are very intriguing because you have to solve the grappling of Movsar, and he's undefeated. Can you be the guy to take his O? Ilia is also undefeated, so you have the somebody's O has got to go matchup. And then you also have the dangerous streaking Diego Lopez right now. So either fight, very intriguing to me, but cool to hear that he is willing to entertain both. He was just giving his take on who he would like to fight more. And of course, that's who, I mean, if I was in Ilia's position, I'm like, Movsar's got good wrestling. He's probably going to be able to take me down. He's going to make it a dogfight type of thing where Diego has good submissions, but he's not going to be going out there chasing takedowns. He's going to be more willing to exchange on the feet, which creates a more entertaining fight that is a little bit more intriguing to a guy like Ilia and to the fans. But I personally would like to see him take on Movsar if he doesn't, move up to fight Islam right now. I think the Movsar fight is the one that is incredibly intriguing in terms of facing that first crazy good grappler like Movsar, who's also undefeated.
Absolutely. Ilia Topuria, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. And all the best to you and the family this week.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So I always love getting an Ilia Topuria interview, man, because this guy, couple things. One, he's a star. I mean, he's got Sergio Ramos, who is a famous soccer player, pulling up to his fights. He's, going out there to, I think it's Real Madrid. He's going out on the field. Like, this guy is turning into an absolute superstar. He's undefeated. He has a very fun style to watch. He's dangerous. He's got the confidence, the swag. Ilia checks all of the boxes. If he continues to do what he's doing at 45, I think that he will be the best 45er of all time. You could probably already make the argument considering he KO'd Volk and Holloway. But, I mean, I would love to see him versus Islam. And I understand the arguments that people make of, well, it's just another 45er. But I'm one of those as a fight fan, I don't care about any of that. I think Ilia Topuria is one of right behind Islam. Islam is, without question, the best fighter in the sport right now. Pound for pound, number one. What he has been doing at lightweight, he is absolutely spectacular. And I think he's the GOAT lightweight right now. I know we have Habib up there, but considering what we've seen from Islam and considering he still has time left, Islam is an absolute stud, man. Going out there, constantly improving, taking fights on short notice, fighting whoever, wherever. That is what Islam Makhachev does. You have to respect it. And outside of Islam, I think the second best fighter in the UFC right now is probably Ilia Topuria, man. I really do. And as an Islam fan, I would be pulling for him in the fight. I definitely see the dangers that Ilia could present. I think it's a massive fight. It would be a fun buildup. I hope we get it at some point. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, comment your thoughts down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you do not miss an upload. I would appreciate it. See you next time.